Hey, peace and blessings to you. My name is Jerry B. I am the entree musician, and so are you. And so is this wonderful young lady we're bringing on to the program today. I'm telling you, she's got it going on all the way. Entree musician to the T, percussionist, vocalist, founding member of the Austin Jazz Society. That's Austin, Texas. She is a member of the Recording Academy, and she serves as a board member on the Texas chapter for education and advocacy. She's married to the award-winning trombonist Michael Mordecai and mother of multi-instrumentalist and pop rock artist Robin Mordecai. I'm telling you, she's all in. Welcome, please, Laura Mordecai, to our podcast. Blessings to you.
Thanks for letting me be here. This is great. I look forward to visiting.
I appreciate it very much. I have to say, just reading through your website, you give the impression that you have an interest in music. Is that right?
Yes, very
like
much.
That.
Yeah, very much so. We're kind of all in it, and I don't know what I'd be doing if I wasn't doing this. Yeah.
Is that what attracted you to Michael? Were you a musician? He's a musician, and that's what brought you together, or did you get into it after your courtship?
I was definitely in it before, but I was not at the time. I wasn't playing. I was working for the musicians union here in Austin, and that's how we met, which was kind of a funny story, but
care to share?
He was a member of the musicians union, and the local president here had just hired me. I was fresh back from Dallas, determined to get out of the film business and into the music business. I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I got hired, looking for a job. I got hired by the musicians union to help out in the office and then also book member bands. Well, unbeknownst to me at the time, because I was still trying to learn everything there was to learn about the musicians union and what I was going to be, the role that I was filling. And what I wasn't aware of at the time was that the musicians union licenses booking agents to book their member bands. And they make referrals to those booking agents when inquiries come in. And so Michael, not only being a musician union member, having served on the board for many years, and he was also a licensed booking agent. So he kind of had an issue with this new position that had been created at the musicians union. So he came over to talk to the local president about that, and the local president was not in at the time, so he proceeded to explain to me why my job shouldn't exist. And I was so shocked. I didn't know quite how to react, other than to say, well, it sounds like he might need to fire me. Michael kind of thought about that for a second. He says, well, have him call me when he gets back to the office. And he left. So that was our first encounter.
Wow.
And 9 months later, I had to call because he did not fire me. And so I had to call Michael to book a band that a client had called to book for a Christmas party. So I had to call and talk to Michael again. And the rest is history.
Well, the history being he asked you out or you asked him out for job
Yeah,
security?
well, he asked, he said, well, I think we need to discuss this. If you want to book my band, Beto and the Fairlanes, I think we need to discuss this. And I think we need to do that over lunch.
Very cool.
So, yeah. So he took me to a very nice lunch.
Yeah.
We talked and I booked his band. And my son, who was 2 at the time, absolutely fell in love with the music, wouldn't let me listen to anything else. And so, it sort of became apparent that maybe this was something different.
To be. So, have you been a lifelong member of Austin, Texas, or did you migrate to Texas from another state?
No, I grew up in Texas. I grew up about 100 miles west of here in a little town called Kerrville, and moved to Austin when I was in college, and finished up school here, and then went to Dallas in pursuit of a career in the film industry, and spent about 6 years in Dallas. Never made it to LA. That's a different story, but
What portion of the film industry interests you?
well, at the time I was interested in sound for film. And so I had done an internship in that realm for a film company that was based in Austin, and then went up to Dallas because at the time the industry was a little more robust there than it was here in Austin. So I went up there and ended up in the post production side of industrial films and commercials, and worked for a production company there in Dallas.
Were you always, even as a child, first of all, did you come from a musical family? And when did you get the bug that you knew you wanted to be involved in the entertainment industry?
Oh, I got that bug when I was 3. I knew that that's what I wanted to do, was sing and dance like Shirley Temple, and you know,
Yeah.
yeah. But uh, my family was musical. My mother was a classical pianist. My dad was a trombone player, uh, and he was a band leader in college, and then uh, kind of put his music aside. Um, he got a degree in music education, but he put that aside because his first love was flying. So he became a pilot. And but we were all raised to play piano. And then when my dad needed a drummer, he decided, because he had a little Dixieland band on the side. When he would come home and have time off, he would play with his Dixieland band, and his drummer was getting up there in years, so he decided he needed a drummer, and I was going to be that drummer.
All right.
It's like, well, I want to play French horn. No, you don't. You want to play drums. So he showed me the basics of how to play a kit, and I spent the next 4 or 5 years playing drums for him and a few other bands in the area.
Did it catch on? Did you dig it?
I did. Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But it came with a little, in a small town, being the only girl drummer. It was, became somewhat of a novelty act that I wasn't really, I wasn't really crazy about. So when I left to go to college, I kind of put that all aside.
Oh, I see. So was there a stigma then? Because I do remember as a kid, one of my good friends, Andrew, he and I were drummers, and he was a twin. His sister Tadia played drums, and for some
Okay.
reason, I mean, we were kids, but we didn't like it very much because Tadia had a mean beat, and she could really groove, and that made us upset for some reason. I don't know why that is. I mean, we couldn't have been more than like 10 or 11. So why
Yeah.
did that bother us so much? So there's always, until um, Sheila E., Terry Lynn Carrington, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm a teenager at that time, that there was some acceptance to it, at least, you know, to the music that I was listening to. But I don't know why that is. Girls could play bass, obviously piano, but for drums, some reason that rubbed us other drummers, this male drummers, the wrong way.
Yeah, I don't know, and I never got, um I didn't really get negative feedback from other drummers. Like, I was in band, and ended up being section leader in the high school drum section, which was funny for a bunch of reasons. But I never got that impression that any of the guys had an issue with me being a girl. That never entered the picture. Um, but it was just like I said, by the time I was a senior in high school and getting ready to go off, being the cute little drummer in a Dixieland band, and that kind of thing. I just No, that's not what I was going for. you know.
I
So
understand. But were you singing throughout all of this? Were you singing and playing the drums for your father's
no,
band?
no, the singing never took hold.
Oh.
Um, and so I just concentrated on being in the drum section. Yeah. So the
What
singing
moved you
didn't.
to percussion, though? Because drums is, people think just
Mm.
because you play drums, you can automatically migrate toward percussion. And I've seen some wonderful drummers that can't make the switch.
Well, I had always loved concert season because it did give you an opportunity to you know, get off the snare drum, say, and get over to mallets and timpani and all of the other fun stuff. So I always was open to that. But what got me into it after I had set it all aside for years, and like I said, had a career in the film industry, and then decided, I got to get out of here and go back to Austin. And when I went back to Austin, I wanted to get it back into music. At the time, I still wasn't thinking about performance myself. Um, I was thinking about getting in the industry side. Um, but uh, a couple of years after Michael and I were married, I started getting the bug again. And he says, you really need to start playing. It'd be good for your soul. And I was so into the music that his band was playing, a band called Beto and the Fairlanes. And it was a four-piece, an eight-piece band, four horns, all instrumental music, just so lively and fun, and this beautiful mix of Latin and old school big band. And, it was really fun. And I said, that's what I want to do. I want to play the congas. I want to do that. The guy that was playing with them at the time, a wonderful man named Arturo Garza. He took me under his wing and he taught me everything he knew. And then I started playing auxiliary percussion with them uh, alongside Arturo, and that was that was so fun, so fun. And so that's what got me started down that path.
Were you
Yeah.
the only percussionist in that ensemble?
No, well, for the longest time, Arturo was the conguero. So he was
Gotcha.
first chair in that section. And I would play a lot of hand percussion and bongos occasionally, and, and then we lost Arturo. He passed. And so I migrated into his chair very reverently because he was, like I said, he was wonderful, really great conguero. So,
Wow. So when did the business of music snag you? As you had stated previously, you were already working for the American Federation of Musicians, but with respect to getting into the Recording Academy and subsequently serving, how did those steps find you?
um, Well, in large part because of my partner. Marrying Mike Mordecai, best thing I ever did, for many, many, many reasons. But he was instrumental in really pulling me in. I finally left the Musicians Union and actually came to work with Michael. And so it was that point where we went into a legitimate partnership that I really started diving into a bunch of aspects that I hadn't been doing before. At the Musicians Union, I was, like I said, booking bands through there, and then also producing concerts. We would do free public concerts every week during the summer, and I would produce those shows. But going to work with Michael put me much closer to the individual musicians and the individual bands, and also into the organizations surrounding the industry, Recording Academy included. Michael was very instrumental. He and a group of others had the Texas Music Association. And then when the Recording Academy created chapters, they came to Texas, and Michael and his business associates that were also in the association flipped the membership to the Recording Academy. And that's what started the chapter. So he was on the ground floor of that, and consequently, there was, I got sucked into it too, and came on the education committee, and then later came on the board and chaired that committee, and have been, involved off and on ever since.
Well, it sounds like though you may have gotten quote unquote sucked into it. That was something that really fits you very well.
Oh,
You
yeah.
enjoy what you
Oh,
do.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when you get involved in organizations like that, it becomes your family. It becomes your network of people. And that is so beneficial and so rewarding, just to be working with these people, not only in Austin, but all around the state, as all the chapters across the country do that, where they may have a hub in one city, but it's for everybody within that jurisdiction. So um, yeah, it's a um, wonderful thing to do. You got to get involved in organizations in your community that support and foster uh, the art form.
Yeah. No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Tell me though, which came first, the foundation or the forming of the Jazz Society, or your work with the Academy? I'm interested in learning about the
Work with
Austin Jazz Society.
work with the Academy. We were already very involved in that, and the Austin Jazz Society had actually had a run many years ago before I was around. Um, and then, gosh, what year would it have been? Well, I think it was 20 years ago. Yeah, I think the Jazz Society is coming on 20 years. Um, that they started it up again, and Michael was was in that group of folks that started the Austin Jazz Society again. And so, once again, when you're partnered with a guy like that is constantly involved in lots of stuff, um, you get involved. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Well,
but
here in Youngstown, Ohio, where I am for some time, and I'm not much of a TV watcher as I was then, but late at night, fantastic show would come on here in Ohio called Austin City Limits.
Oh
Are
yeah.
you aware of that show? And did you have anything to do
Oh
with
yeah.
that great talent that came across the
Uh,
airwaves?
right. No. No. Terry Lacona, the producer, now executive producer, I think, of that show. Uh, that was that was actually going on when I was still a student at UT.
I see.
He started that up, yeah, and so I was very aware of it, and it was really groundbreaking, and still is, because I think it's the longest running show of its kind on television. Um, but yeah, I mean, we've had a few bands that have played on it. Beto and the Fairlanes played on Austin City Limits in the early years. Another artist, Tomas Ramirez, he uh, had a show on Austin City Limits. And uh, so, yeah, there were a bunch of local bands that got a chance to play on that show. And then it went bigger and bigger and bigger, you know. Now they got, oh my gosh, all, all kinds of all kinds of great artists come through that stage. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a hot show. Like I said, I don't know if it's still airing, and my TV time has really switched. But always wanting to look into what other cities and locales were doing, I would always turn in or stop what I was doing when I saw that it was on. Great, great stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
going back to the academy for a second, because we have a mutual friend in the person of Danny Jones, and I want to say before we talk about how you met Danny, uh, I want to thank you because Danny made an introduction because on our sister show, Artist Impact, we had
Mhm.
a panelist who at the last minute could not make it, and you so generously and graciously filled in for that person. And I thank you for that, and I thank Danny for making the introduction. But he's a pretty hot commodity in Texas.
Danny, yeah, he is, man. He's doing some amazing work, but he's very understated. You
Yeah,
know, he just he just goes about what he does and makes amazing music with amazing artists. And
absolutely.
yeah, yeah, he's a wonderful person.
And the
Very
two of you
much.
were on the academy together. You served on the
Yeah,
board at the
yeah,
academy.
we've served on the board together and on committees together. Um, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, good guy, good guy,
yeah,
and
he's a good guy. We
absolutely.
used to
And you,
do.
and that's, I'm sorry, I
No, no, no. I
apologize.
was going to say we used to do here in this chapter. We used to do a event every year called Grammy in the Schools, um, and uh, or Career Day. Sorry, Grammy in the Schools is another thing, but we used to do a Career Day, and Danny was always instrumental in uh, getting those things going and participating, mentoring. You know, yeah.
Yeah, I think he still teaches many students today.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm talking to him, and he has to go to a lesson or to a school to teach a group of students.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
very cool, very
yeah.
cool. And I understand too. I mean, you talk about Danny being understated, but you have far more experience than we've been able to cap here. I mean, you've been at the Grand Ole Opry, you've worked with several different artists, and just, I mean, you keep it kind of low key, but you have been really a staple in a lot of what's going on in music.
It's you know, Jerry, I still pinch myself because um I was just happy to get to play with Beto and the Fairlanes, and then later I had the amazing pleasure of getting to be in a group called Javier, Chaparro, and Salúd. And Javier is master violinist. He's the concert master of the Brazos Valley Symphony, uh, originally from Peru, but he now is not just classical. He loves all kinds of music, and we discovered he writes his own songs. And so when he put a group together to play those songs, he plucked me out of obscurity to come play with these amazing world-class musicians and play his music. And it was just such a wonderful opportunity. And we still get to play together. I'm going to go up to Santa Fe in August and play house concert with him. So yeah, I've had some amazing opportunities. And then Stephanie Urbina Jones and the Honky Tonk Mariachi. Um, you know, it's like that's another wild tale about how I found myself in that band. But I'm so grateful because the musicians are just stellar, and the music is so fun. So that's taken me a lot of places that I would have never thought I could have gone. Yeah, it's been fun.
That's fantastic. Absolutely. So you got to tell us a little bit about Robin and his amazing career that's developing as well. You now the Fable Records, is this a family label or
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
Robin is
Michael
signed to
Michael started it. Michael started it back in 1970. Well, the first 45 came out in 1973, but the label itself didn't really get going until 1975.
I see.
And then he, periodically would, one of the bands that he was playing with and managing, he would put out records and keep that, and the label has stayed alive for coming on 50 years now. So, yeah.
So tell us about the pride of your life, Robin, and what he's doing in his incredible career as well.
Robin is, yeah, we're really proud of him. Um, he's a multi-instrumentalist and songwriter, and certainly has a lot of influence from the jazz realm, but that's not what he stayed relegated to. So he's branched out and is doing some great fun pop, Americana, rock, whatever, whatever category you want to put it in. But but yeah, he's writing some great music, and is just a really solid musician and a great singer. And yeah,
Yeah.
well, we're proud of him. We're proud of
So
him.
it's amazing. I, wonder as I was reading through your bio what your house may sound like on any given day. And the different genres of music that you're involved in. I mean, how does
Yeah,
that work?
well, um, beautifully, and of course, Robin is not in the house anymore, so it's just Michael and I. And y- you know, um, Michael and I joke that when when we get to a point where nobody else wants us, we're going to start a duo with trombone and cajon. And because that's when you talk about what it sounds like around the house. I'm running my exercises on the cajon or on the congas or whatever, and uh, he's back there in his own room, going through the calisthenics of trombone, and usually ends on Amazing Grace. And so when he goes through Amazing Grace in all 12 keys, um, I'm generally walking around the house singing the harmony part.
That's that's quite amazing. So tell me, what do you enjoy most? Because you've had the opportunity to wear just about all of the hats in the music industry. Do you enjoy the business aspect more than you enjoy performing, or is it the recording or production? What is it that really says, hey, yeah, this is, I can do all of these, but this is my passion right here,
The performance,
performing?
no doubt. Yeah. I mean, uh, like I said, I knew when I was 3 that what I liked to do was sing and dance and make people smile. And that's, yeah, performance, when you're when you're grooving with the bass player and your harmonies lock with the lead, and and you see people out there doing this, it's like my mission is accomplished, my purpose is yeah, that's what I enjoy most.
Absolutely. Well, I know that you have done a ton of interviews, and there's general questions that the interviewer would usually ask. And you thought when you were preparing for today's conversation, Jerry's definitely going to ask me this, but for some reason I haven't. Do you have an answer for the unasked question, or is there something that you thought I was going to ask you and I didn't, and you think it's important for people to know about you and your career?
Wow. Perseverance. um and I was actually listening to uh some of your book this morning that yeah, that really circled back uh in my brain to being a really important aspect of business. This is not I feel like for those of mu- music is a calling, and oftentimes it's not really a choice. you know
Truth.
you you can try to walk away from it, as I did for many years, but sooner or later uh it's a calling. And
Absolutely.
like all callings, that it when you embark on that path, it's not simple. It's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. um, but for those that know that's what they're supposed to do, you got to do it, and uh, be thankful for everything that comes along, and practice, and know that every moment that you're practicing is moment well spent. Um, and yeah, persevere.
I couldn't have said that any better. Absolutely. That's absolutely perfect. Well, I certainly appreciate you giving us your heart in this time on the podcast. As we'll stick around just a little bit after we conclude this for the entree musician community, because I'm sure you have some gems of wisdom that you're going to share with them. But I really am so grateful, Laura, and grateful to know about your family. I do hope to have the opportunity to have a conversation with Michael and hopefully
Oh yeah.
Robin as well one day on the podcast. And I want to give a shout out again to Danny Jones for introducing me to you.
Yay.
You know,
Yay, Danny.
and hopefully we can call upon you again, and it won't be because we're panicking and in crisis mode for the artist impact.
Hey, um, I was just glad I was available. I was just glad I was available.
Well, you
That
did
was
so
fun.
well. I was telling my wife, I said she was just such a natural, and it's just like no one was any the wiser. Like, here's Laura, boom. She looked at the video, she gave wonderful advice to the artist, and it was just fantastic. So, thank you.
Well, I certainly appreciate what you're doing, Jerry.
I
Really.
appreciate it. I appreciate the
Yeah,
opportunity to do it.
yeah. You've got an amazing podcast, an amazing book. I'm really appreciative of you, uh, yeah, getting out there. And like I said, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir when I say, perseverance is the key, because you've you've written and talked about that for a long time. Yeah.
Grateful, just like you felt in the musicians union and with the academy and on the education committee. How can I help? This is not about competition, it's about collaboration, and if I have something to help
Absolutely not.
and share,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Abs-
much, Laura, and stick around. We'll be back. We're just going to say goodbye for now. This is just so long. That was a wonderful conversation. As I said, we're just going to stick around and talk to those who are members of the Entre musician community, in which you can avail yourself to as well, because it's not just about the music, as important as that is, and the creativity that brings, but having your business chops on point, knowing how to be entrepreneurial in your music industry pursuit is vital. That's why I say it all the time. My name is Jerry B. I'm an entre musician. Laura Mordecai is an entre musician, but the important thing is, so are you. And we will see you again next time. God bless.